the winner of the 2011 Grammy Awards Best Song of the Year, and it goes to Harvey and Michelle Chasra. Well, this is indeed a great honor for me, and there's a picture of me up on the screen. I was hard-pressed to come up with a title for this talk, so I tried to pick something simple. I was very cognizant of the fact that the Hackett Award was a very special award lecture, and I've been a member of the Academy for about 25 years, and the Academy has been my professional home. And I remember Ned Cassim's Hackett lecture in 1989, where he spent 30 minutes talking about a man who survived a shark attack. I'm not going to be speaking about sharks today, but I am going to be talking a little bit about remembering. And I'm going to try to impress upon you the fact that premonition and remembering are not that distinct or different. The Hackett Award reminds us, I think, the importance of remembering. It reminds us of the importance of remembering where we came from, because it informs who we are, and it informs what we can aspire to be. And that's what I got in 25 years of being very involved in the Academy as a member of the council, and the privilege of being an officer of the Academy, and eventually the president of the Academy several years ago. On an occasion like this, it's really important to remember the history of the Academy and the history of those who won the Hackett Award. And as Harvey mentioned, I'm a bit overwhelmed to be included amongst the list of prior Hackett Award winners that include Ned and people like Avery Weissman and Bish Lepowski and Jimmy Holland and Norm Levy, Don Kornfeld, who I noticed back there in the audience, Tom Wise, Don Lipset, Jim Strain, who emailed me and apologized he couldn't come, Joel Dinsdale, Webb Caton, Russ Noyes, Fritz Hughes, the incomparable Ted Stern. I'm honored and privileged to be counted in that company. So thank you very much for this incredible award. I cannot tell you that I had a premonition that I was going to win the Hackett Award, but I must say that it was something I dreamt of as I was a growing, advancing scholar in academic psychosomatic medicine. And it was a dream that came true much earlier than I thought was possible. People's interest in psychosomatic medicine and CL psychiatry have unusual, sometimes peculiar, and serendipitous beginnings. And I was privileged to have met Pat McKegney while I was a medical student at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. Pat was the first CL psychiatrist I ever met. And I honor his memory today. Thank him for how he inspired me. This was also an excuse to show you a picture of me in med school. As my mother would say, not bad. She had a habit of saying that. And this is me as a Jacoby giant. As Harvey alluded to, I did 2 residencies, one in medicine and one in psychiatry. I was the kind of person who always had 2 passions in life. In college, I loved poetry writing, and I loved science. And I had a hard time choosing between the 2. So I tried as much as I could to not give up one for the other. So going into psychiatry, going to medical school to become a psychiatrist felt like it was a compromise that I could live with. It allowed me to be a physician yet still deal in metaphor. And when I got to my medical residency, I did a year of medicine, and then I went back to do a year of psychiatry, which I had matched in. And my first day on the ward, on the inpatient unit, I met a young man who was schizophrenic and quite psychotic, and was probably the most disturbed individual I would ever meet in my entire career. And about 25 minutes through the session, he looked at me puzzling, in a puzzled expression, and said, out of exasperation, because he felt I was not really being helpful, he said to me, "How long have you been a psychiatrist?" And I looked at my watch and I said, "About 25 minutes." And when I thought about answering that question, I said, "And I don't think I'm going to be a psychiatrist much longer than that." I ran back to my medical residency director and said, "Can I come back to medicine? I made a terrible mistake." I think I used the word disastrous mistake. And my psychiatry residency training director kept harping on that word, disastrous. He was an early cognitive behavioral therapist. He thought I was catastrophizing. But the deal that was made was that I was finish the year of psychiatry and go back to medicine the next year. And the department chair of medicine said that if I came to him in April and May and said to him that I had changed my mind, he would personally take out a very sharp instrument and conduct surgery on me in a very delicate place. Well, in April and May, I was interested in psychiatry, but I did not go back to have a discussion with him. I went back to medicine. And in my junior year of medicine, I was quite confused because I liked psychiatry and medicine both. And we had a secretary for the chief medical resident at the time. Her name was Lois Weinstein, and she had a Rolodex at her desk. And all of the residents would sit down with Lois and say, "Lois, I want to do a fellowship in GI. Who should I call?" She'd go to a Rolodex and pick out a name. Call Les Bernstein. He runs the GI fellowship at Montefiore. I sat down with Lois and I said, "Lois, I don't know whether I'm going to do medicine or psychiatry or what." She went to her Rolodex, looked at the Rolodex, pulled out a card and said, "Call Ned Castle. He's the only intern we ever had here who could run a code and give the last rites at the same time." And I called Ned. I called him cold. He had no idea who I was. I called up. I said, "Dr. Castle, my name is Bill Breitbart. I'm a medical resident at Jacobi. I've done some psychiatry, and I don't know how to find a way to combine medicine and psychiatry." Well, for an hour and a half, he told me about CL psychiatry. And he's always been a rabbi to me. Can we go back to the slides for a second? And that's why I called it, Ned's always been a rabbi. My entire career, he's had my back. Every promotion, he's written a letter. And he's a big part of why I'm standing here today. The other person who I owe an enormous debt of gratitude is Dr. Jimmy Holland. And in 1984, I went to work with Jimmy Holland as a fellow, and I've stayed ever since. And I've recently written an editorial which was titled, I made her mission mine. And Jimmy inspired me in so many ways, continues to inspire me, comes to work every day, sees thousands of patients. And despite the fact that I have her old job title, she still bosses me around and yells at me quite a bit. I have an enormous number of wonderful colleagues at Memorial, and these are just a few of them. And I want to been inspired over the last 10, 15 years by the work of Viktor Frankl, and I had the opportunity to have lunch with his wife Ellie a few years ago in Vienna, and Irv Yalom, who's been incredibly generous to me over the years. And some of you may recall a few years ago when Sweet Lou Cohen was scientific program chair of our meeting in the island. We had the pleasure of Irv Yalom being one of our plenary speakers, along with some guy named Harvey Chachinov. And Harvey and Michelle and his whole family, I think you may have gotten some hint that we're close. And we are indeed close. We are brothers who were separated at birth. And when I go to visit him in Winnipeg, Canada, and his family, I remember one time I was walking through the Manitoba Cancer Foundation, and there were all these Jews talking, and I said, Harvey, what are all these Jews doing here in Winnipeg? And it was as if New York City had been transported to Winnipeg, or Winnipeg had been transported to New York City. We grew up in the same